everyone, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 15 of my 2019 holiday card series. Today I'm going to be making a card using this stamp set from Trinity Stamps called Have an Ice Day, and it features this adorable little polar bear ice skating. So I have stamped him out along with a little mug of cocoa with Memento Tuxedo Black ink on some Nina Solar White cardstock, and I am going to color with my Copic markers. I'm using some cool grays for him today. Normally I like to use warm grays for critters, but the cool grays are going to match the pattern papers a little bit better. I'm going to be using pattern papers with a lot of blue tones and cool tones, so I just thought this would be the better choice. So I'm starting with the C3. I'm using C0, C1, and C3. So the C3 is what I'm laying in my shadows with, and I just put those anywhere that I felt that the sun wouldn't hit, or where there would be a separation of body parts, like his leg that's sticking out behind him, or underneath his scarf that's hanging down and casting a shadow. And I also just wanted to darken up his muzzle just to give him a little more personality. And then I blended that out with the C1, that was my mid-tone. Just brought that out a little bit, just some quick flicks to kind of soften the edge of that. And then I added the C0 as my lightest. And I did let that just run off into the white. Then I'm going to grab my colorless blender and just blend the edge of that C0 a bit and really help it fade into the white. I'm going to take away the C0 and add in the C5, which I will use to color in his nose completely, and then I'll use all three of those shades to color in the metal blades of his ice skates. So I just put that darkest shade, the C5, at the back of the blade, and then blended forward with the C3 and then the C1. For his little ears, the inside of his ears and his little cheek, I'm going to give him a rosy cheek. I'm using YR1. That's a little bit different than typical. Normally I would go with more of a pink tone, but this peach is going to match the pattern paper a little bit better. And I did soften that cheek with the C0. For his mittens, I'm using YG61, YG63, and YG67. I'm using the YG67 down on the bottom and then blending up toward the top with the YG63, and then I'll finish with the YG61 for my highlight. And I did make the back one just a little bit darker since it would be cast more in shadow on the far side of his body. And then I'm also going to use those same three greens to add a little detail to the stripe on his scarf. Then I'm going to use BG10, BG11, and BG13 to color in the cuffs of his mittens. And I'll also do the little socks that are sticking above his ice skates. And I also decided to make that little extra piece at the bottom of his scarf an extra stripe. And I just have to give a quick shout out to my friend Vanessa, who owns Butterfly Reflections Inc. She sent me this stamp set because she knows how much I love polar bears. And I do think he is absolutely darling. I think he's so much fun with the pose that he's in. And this is a brand new company to me. I've never used them before, so I was excited to try them out as well. For his scarf, I'm using B93, B95, B97, and B99. This is also my go-to combo for jeans, but I just thought this would make a really rich navy blue that would match really well with the pattern paper. So I used the B99 up under his neck, where it's kind of gathered in that little crease there behind his ear. And then I also added a little bit near the knots where the fabric is folded and to the parts that are kind of hanging down. And then I blended out with the B97. Then I'm using the B95. And I do like to use four colors in this particular combination. I just think they work really well. And I think that the B93 thrown in there. Just helps it not to get too dark. I'm using the B quadruple 0 to add a little bit of white to his ice skates. I wanted it to be a different white than his body. And I also added a little bit to the mug, just on the left and the right and around the handle, so it looks like a white mug. And then for the heart, I'm using YRO1 and YRO2. And I just added a little shading towards the bottom, and then I did throw in a little YRO2 into his ear as well. And then I trimmed out the images with the matching dies. The pattern papers that I'm using are from the Snow Much Fun collection by Cartabella. So I'm just going to flip through and choose some patterns that I think go well together. First up is this plaid. And then I wanted something that was kind of pale that would serve as my focal panel. So I used that pale aqua with the snowflake. I had a tone-on-tone navy blue, but I end up switching it out for a navy blue that has just a bit of an aqua color into it, just for a little bit more interest. And then I also had this pattern with these branches and berries. So you can see how well those four work together. We have kind of the plaid, and then there's like a real small scale print, and then there's more of a tone on tone, and then we have the colorful print with the branches and berries. So I'm going to trim all of these down. The one that I'm using for my focal panel, I trimmed with the Lawn Fawn cross-stitched square stackables, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment directly on that using the Deep Sea ink, and it says, "Sending you a little holiday cheer." It's a really small kind of typewritten font that I really like. So I did stamp that down twice just to make sure it was really crisp. And then I'm going to pop that out and add my card base instead. I'm using MFT's Snow Cone cardstock for the base. And on the inside, I'm going to just stamp a couple other little images. In fact, it's the only other two images in this set. And then the little warm wishes sentiment. I trimmed out an extra piece of cheap white cardstock, and I'm going to glue the pattern paper down to that to give it a little more stability, just making sure that it's lined up nice and straight. And then I've got a piece of the new Lawn Fawn iridescent vellum, and I'm going to try adhering this in a new way today. I added a piece of score tape to the front and back and lined them up right over top of each other. So I used the one to adhere the vellum down because it's a little tricky to adhere vellum and not have the glue show. But I'm hoping this is going to do the trick. Before I adhere my polar bear, I'm just going to cut between his gloves or his mittens so that I can add the little hot cocoa mug right into his hands. So I just used an X-Acto knife for that. And I'm just going to take a little dot of glue and adhere that mug into place. Then I'm going to peel off the release paper from the front piece of score tape and add some more liquid glue to the back of my polar bear, just making sure to get it on all the little bits so that they will lay nice and flat on the card. And then I'm going to get him situated just right. I'll grab an acrylic block and set that down over top of him to help him dry nice and flat. And then I'm going to take some Lawn Fawn chunky glitter and sprinkle that over the exposed score tape. I'll burnish that in with my finger to make sure that all of that gets covered so there won't be any little sticky bits left over. And also it's going to make sure that the glitter that does remain will be laying nice and flat. And then I can just go ahead and funnel the leftover glitter right back into the container so that I can use that. I don't want to waste any of that gorgeous chunky glitter. And now I can start my card assembly. I wanted to show you that I did end up changing one of the patterns. I decided that the plaid was just too similar in tone to this kind of branch and berry background piece that I wanted to use. it just matched too well and kind of faded into it. So instead I took this aqua blue snowball print, which I thought was really pretty. And then I'm going to just layer the navy with the little aqua V's on it. It's almost like a knit sweater pattern or something like that. And then I've added some foam tape to the back of my focal panel, so I'm just going to line that up. I wanted to make sure that the papers were nice and straight before I press that down into place. Once I was sure that everything was nice and straight, then I'll just go ahead and press down on the edges to secure. And even though we've already got some glitter going on, you know I couldn't make a card without using some stickles. So I just added a little bit to the heart on the mug and the cuffs on his mittens and his little socks there. And then I realized I forgot to color in the hot cocoa, so I just used an E44 marker for that. And now you can see all of that sparkle and shine. And there's another peek at the inside. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also, you can hit that notification bell if you want to be sure that my videos always end up in your feed. If you'd like to keep on watching, here's day 15 of the previous 2 years of holiday card series, so you can click on either one of those. I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day. Bye-bye.